So you only feel good when you're being productive. Let's say you're working really hard at your job, or maybe you're a student who's very busy and you feel the need to work all day. And then finally, when your work is done and you finally have some downtime, you just don't feel very good. Instead of being relieved that you can take this time off, you feel like something's wrong, like you're not doing enough or you're not getting enough done. And I think this is especially relevant for students with really hard majors in college. Because say you're something like chemistry or math or engineering, and you work all day, and then all of a sudden, maybe you finish a test and you have nothing after that. And you sort of don't know what to do with your time because you're so used to the grind, you're so used to having to spend all your time working that when you finally do have some free time, it just feels a bit off. And I can say from my own experience as a neuroscience major and many of my friends' experiences that these feelings can come with a bunch of annoying side effects, like feeling down, feeling tired, or just feeling antsy, like there's something to do, but you don't know what to do. And I think this can also lead us to just waste a ton of our time, because if you constantly feel the need to be productive, then you might just end up making unnecessary work for yourself. Say you're done studying, but you feel like there's nothing else you should be doing now, and you should keep being productive. So you might just keep creating unnecessary work for yourself and just studying more and more, even if it's not necessary. And even if you surround yourself with a group of friends who are pretty studious, which is always a good thing, it can also have that added effect of feeling the pressure to keep on studying because you see the people around you studying. So now what do we do about this pressure to always be productive? I think there's two main things we can do about this, and they're both pretty simple. And I think the first thing is just to develop some decent hobbies. I think a lot of us who are very productive all the time, who have a lot of work and are always studying, we tend to be a bit hobby deficient, meaning that we spend so much of our time doing homework, schoolwork, and whatever else, all these productive things, that at the end of the day, we don't actually have too many activities that we like to use to unwind and just enjoy ourselves. We're so used to the grind that we don't really put too much thought into what activities we actually enjoy doing. And if you're finally done working, if you're finally done your schoolwork or maybe your work or whatever else, and you come home at the end of the day and there's no activities there for you to do, there's not really anything you have in mind, obviously you're going to feel a little bit down, because what's the alternative? You could watch TV or just lie around, but these aren't going to be especially fulfilling. So experimenting with hobbies or other things to fill up your time after you're done your work is especially helpful. And this could be solo or with friends. So for solo, for example, sometimes I just like reading at the end of a long day. If I just find a book about something I'm interested in, I just think that's super fun. And then if you want to do something with friends, I myself, I think it's kind of silly, but me and one of my roommates, we just like freestyling sometimes. So we'll just put on a beat and we'll just like mess around and freestyle. So that's something fun you can do with friends, but you just got to think about it, kind of get the wheels spinning and just think about what activities you would like to do in your free time. Because if you don't have any specific hobbies or any planned out things that you actually want to do with your time, then you're just going to end up coming home and lying around. And obviously you're not going to feel great because you're not being productive, but you're not really doing anything else either. And this point about hobbies kind of bleeds into my next point, which is that if you don't feel good when you're not being productive, you want to make sure that your activities outside of work, homework, and all that they're not kind of detracting from your life. So for example, if you're finally done with your homework, and at the end of the day, all you have to do is just hop on your phone and scroll reels, obviously you're not going to feel too great then, because you're just doing this activity that's kind of tiring you out, it's repetitive, you're not getting much out of it, and when you're done, you don't really leave with anything. You haven't gained any new skills or appreciation of anything, you've kind of just forgotten what you've looked at, and it's on to the next thing. So that's why I would suggest, if you're having problems with always feeling like you have to be productive, that you really try to stay away from social medias like Instagram, TikTok, anything where you're sort of just oversaturating yourself with all this really overstimulating content, because at the end of the day, it's not really adding too much to your life. It might be mildly entertaining for a little bit, but you don't really take away anything afterwards. And I think as productive people, we do tend to want that feeling of taking something away from our hobbies, whether that's a skill or maybe an appreciation of the arts or maybe better connection with our friends. We like to take something away from what we're doing, and something like scrolling social media, there really is no angle, there's no end takeaway besides some very mild entertainment for a short period of time. And I think this might be a little different if you're, say, experiencing this with friends, so maybe you and some friends are watching funny videos together and you can kind of enjoy each other's company while you're doing it. I think that might have some benefit, but just sitting there by yourself and scrolling around on social media, I think that's an activity that makes a lot of us feel not too great in the long term. So I think at the very least, if we're trying to come to terms with not making ourselves always be productive and being able to enjoy our time off more, we should kind of steer away from activities like this. So to get rid of this anxiety that we feel when we're not being productive all the time, two simple things. The first thing is that you want to make sure that you're filling your time up with some kind of hobbies or other activities. You want to have some idea of what you're actually going to be doing when you're not being productive. Because if you have no plan, you just know that, okay, I have no more work and I have this huge block of time to do something with, but I'm not sure what, then I think that creates a lot of anxiety and uncertainty because we're so used to the structure of just work and being productive that we don't really know what to do with these large blocks of time unless we have allocated activities that we actually know what we're going to use to fill that time with. And then second, you should be filling your time with activities that enrich your life. Scrolling on Reels really isn't best for your mental health in the long term. You're not taking too much away from it. So for the most part, you should steer clear of that if you want to feel better about not being productive 24/7. Now, I hope you guys can find some of these tips useful. If you like videos like this on studying, productivity, mental health for college students, I really recommend you subscribe. There's going to be a whole lot more videos like this soon. But until then, I'll see you guys.